All right, what's up, y'all? My name is Maverick Barnes. Just to let you know a little bit about myself, I'm a tattoo artist based out of Southeast Georgia. I'm a Christian-based artist. I love the Lord. I love tattoos. If you got any questions about that, let me know. This is my first YouTube video. I know that's not something that typically goes hand in hand, but I'll tell y'all my story one day. But anyways, I'm gonna take y'all with me today. We're gonna be doing a tattoo of Samson. It's one of my favorite characters out of the Bible. Hopefully I can get some good footage, do a little voiceover. I'd like to give y'all the story of Samson, let y'all know why it means a lot to me, why, I don't know, he's the strongest man to have ever lived. And anyways, I'm gonna try to capture that in this tattoo today. I created a image of Samson, what I see him as. Talked with the client, we kind of agreed on a statuesque style to portray his strength, strong facial features, the long hair, of course. That's the main thing that makes Samson. Samson was a Nazarite, couldn't cut his hair, shave his beard, so he has long hair, long beard. Hopefully we can capture it and make a really cool piece out of it. I'm gonna take y'all with me, so I'll see y'all at the shop. That's better. What? Yes. Let me see the old one. Come on, man. Alright, when did we do this one?
A year and a half ago.
Oh yeah. Shoot. So we're gonna do Samson here. All right, getting it started. I am using a super tight 8-gauge 3-round liner for this whole tattoo. I'm using the FK Irons XO, and I'm running my machine on 5.0 volts. It's a 4.0 stroke. I like to do the stipple shading. I find that it is less trauma to the skin, leads to a little easier healing process, and I just like to work in layers, building up my tones, just adding contrast where I think it's needed without working the skin too much. So like I said, the subject matter of this tattoo is Samson from the Bible. I just kind of wanted to talk about him a little bit, tell the story. So we're gonna start with, his birth, who he was. He was born to a mom who was thought to be barren. The angel of the Lord appeared to her and told her, you're gonna have a son. He's gonna be a Nazarite, so you can't drink alcohol, eat anything unclean, and he's to do the same thing. A razor is never to touch his head, so can't cut his hair, can't trim his beard. And Samson was, through this, given superhuman strength through God. He was called to deliver the Israelites from the Philistine rule that they were under for like the last 40 years. So anyways, in his life, he kind of, I guess, was physically strong, but like a lot of us, he was mentally weak, struggled with, his desires for women and power, revenge. The first, kind of example of his power that we see in the Bible is he's walking along, headed to the city to meet his wife with his mom and dad, and a lion charged at him, and he defeated the lion with his bare hands. The Bible said he beat it, tore it apart as if it were a baby goat, which is pretty impressive. But he kind of didn't say anything about it to his parents or whatever. Anyways, he took his wife, went through a whole bunch of stuff. The wife was a Philistine woman, supposed to be the enemy, but again, like I said, kind of downfall of Samson was his desire for women, whether it was good or bad for him. But anyways, long story short, his father-in-law ended up giving his wife to one of his companions or friends. Samson didn't like it, and took revenge and on the Philistine people. In return, their revenge on him, they killed his wife and her father. So later on down the road, Samson meets this other girl, Delilah, who was a prostitute, for lack of better words. So he meets Delilah, falls in love with her, and again, a Philistine woman. Her people try to convince her to find out what Samson's weakness was. We all know that his weakness was, his hair couldn't be cut. If he cut his hair, he lost his strength. But in an effort to be clever, he told her, if you will tie me up with 7 bowstrings, then I'll become weak. So she goes and tells them. They try it, but he snapped the bowstrings, didn't work. So then she tries to get it out of him again, and he said, oh, well, they have to be, unused bowstrings or whatever. So then they come back with new bowstrings that have never been used, try it again, and again, he breaks them, it didn't work. So then, his Delilah gets upset, you don't love me, tell me, really, what is your real weakness? So then he says, oh, if you will tie my 7 locks of hair up with a pin or whatever, I'll become as weak as any man. So he falls asleep, she ties his hair up again, that ain't it. So then for days and days and days, she nags and nags and nags, and finally Samson just becomes sick of it. So there's a lesson, I guess, women. If you want to get anything out of your husband, just nag him to death. He'll get sick of it, I promise. I'll tell you. So he tells her, if my hair is ever cut, then I'll become weak. And so he falls asleep that night, and she cuts his hair, and the Philistine men come in, tie him up, take him to the temple, gouge out his eyes, and he's as weak as any regular man. And now, back to Samson's birth, the angel of God told his mom that Samson was to bring, to set the Israelites free and bring peace. And, that hadn't happened yet, but he was weak. He didn't have his long hair that he was supposed to. People had lost hope. But while he's in the temple, they bring him out, tie him up. They're making fun of him, kind of making a show of him, the great Samson. He's weak. We've beat him. But in this time of weakness, Samson prays to God for one last, bit of strength
to fulfill what he was called to do, which was bring peace. And God answered his prayer. His hair began to grow back, and in his last moments, his strength returned, and he tore down the pillars of the temple, tore down the whole temple with him and all of the Philistine men inside, killing all of them and himself, which did ultimately bring peace to the Israelites and Philistine people. It's a really cool story. I always enjoyed it as a kid. That's a real life superhero. You see Hercules and all these people, but to know that Samson was a real man that was called by God with superhuman strength, basically, it's just really, really cool to think that somebody could, be blessed by God, even if he's not perfect. That's something we all struggle with, not being perfect, but God still uses us regardless. But anyways, we're making progress on the piece. You can see here we got most of his face done, most of his beard done. Working on the hair. It's a lot of fun. I tried to capture the locks of hair in these big braids, the long beard tied up at the bottom, just kind of strong facial features. I didn't want to do necessarily a figurine, action figure look of Samson. I kind of wanted to portray the man that he was, not put all the focus on, doing a super muscular physique, bodybuilder looking dude. I wanted to portray the strong facial features, the statuesque, style beard and hair, and I really enjoyed doing this piece. I really enjoy, the statues' faces. It's always a lot of fun, but at this point I'm just kind of going in and detailing, adding contrast. Like I said before, just working on layers. I'm trying to push it, adding detail where I think it's needed. But anyways, I'm gonna stop talking and let y'all just enjoy the rest of the video. Thank y'all.